So this is an apple, and like about 35% of the food we eat, it depends on bees for pollination. That's why every spring we drive beehives out to the Hardangerfjord to pollinate local fruit trees. And this is how they usually develop. Starting with about 5,000 bees at the end of winter, they develop to up to 40,000 bees by summer. But sometimes the colony collapses and we end up with a dead hive, or they just stagnate and do not grow. So this is a problem for the bees because they're dead. It's also a problem for the farmers because they get less apples and the one they get might be ugly due to bad pollination. And it's a problem for me because I'm sad to lose my bees and I also lose the honey crop for the season. So to understand what's going on here, we need to take a look into the hive. The queen bee lays up to 3,000 eggs a day, which develop into brood, and the brood develops into hive bees that mainly stay at home and take care of the kids. But they also have to develop into forager bees that actually fly out, visit flowers, and collect honey because they need the honey as a resource for the growing colony. So this is what I modeled to figure out what's going on, and it turns out that there are a lot of ways to die. And depending on the colony composition, the resources or external factors, the colony can either develop into a strong and healthy colony, or it starts building up strength and then collapses, which is usually due to starvation when they did not have the research base to support the growth, or they just fade away slowly over time and just disappear, which is usually the fault of a bad queen. And then we have external factors like pesticide use. And it was interesting to see that if about 28% of the bees out in the field get killed, the colony kind of survives. But if the rate is just a bit higher, with about 32%, the colony collapses. So a tiny difference in mortality of about 4% makes still a difference between surviving and dying. And this was the result that was actually the most interesting or surprising for me, because the foragers only make up about a third of the entire bee population. But if you take out a third of the foragers, then ultimately the entire colony will collapse. So yeah, this is basically the entire story of how you might end up with an empty box, a bunch of dead bees, and an ugly apple. Thanks a lot for your time and take care of the bees.